Let's get into our Pega Dev Studio environment. Here, I have created a data type to fetch and hold NPI provider details from the data NPI registry table. You can find the mapped table name under the view definition section of the data type. This table contains approximately 100 columns and close to 1 lakh records. For our use case, we are focusing on just 7 key fields related to provider details, such as NPI number, entity type code, provider first name, and organization name. Records from the data NPI registry source are now accessible via the Records tab of the data type interface. This setup will serve as the foundation for demonstrating pagination in Pega. Next step, to use the NPI data in case, I have created a case type that includes a table layout section configured with a report definition as its data source. In this report definition, I have added 2 input parameters to filter the NPI provided data. To enable pagination, I have enabled checkbox enable paging and added the pagination count as 20 in report viewer tab of report definition. And also selected the page size defined in the report definition option in table layout pagination section to leverage the Pega's default pagination mechanism. Now I get back to the application portal to see the demo. Select values from the drop-down. Pega uses those values as parameters to fetch and display filtered NPI provided details with pagination on the UI. To understand what happens behind the scene, launch Tracer. You will see that Pega executes a SQL query based on the report definition and the selected parameters. If you copy and run this SQL query in your database, it fetches all matching records. However, only 20 records are displayed on the screen. Pega slices the result in memory to show one page at a time. This approach can impact performance, as the entire data set is loaded from the database even though only a portion is displayed, especially with larger volumes of data. In the same case type, I have another section with a table layout sourced from a data page, which is backed by a dummy data transform to support custom pagination. Here, I have configured a custom activity to manage the pagination logic. This activity accepts the same 2 input parameters to fetch the filtered results. Within this activity, the first RDB list uses a Connect SQL rule to retrieve the total number of records based on the selected entity type code. When we switch to the database and execute this query, we get the expected results filtered according to the input parameter. To handle page navigation, we use Pega's out-of-the-box param pyCurrentPageIndex to determine the currently selected page. Using this index, we calculate the offset and limit values dynamically with the property set step. These values ensure that only the required records from the selected page are fetched from the database, unlike the previous OOTB pagination, which loads the entire dataset and slices it in memory. Then the second RDB list runs the Get Custom Results Connect SQL to return only the relevant records which we discussed above, based on both the drop-down parameter and the calculated offset and limit values. If we copy and execute this SQL in the database, we'll see that it returns just the required set. For example, 10 records only, matching the current pagination state. This improves performance by avoiding unnecessary data loading. Now let's turn on Tracer and select any value from the drop-down. In Tracer, you will notice that Pega executes the first SQL query, which we configured in the custom pagination activity. This query retrieves the total number of records based on the selected entity type code. Switching over to the database and executing the same query confirms that it fetches the complete record count for the selected entity type. Back in Tracer, you'll see the second SQL query executed by Pega. This one fetches the actual records to be displayed. If we run this query in the database, it returns only 10 records based on the filter conditions, the offset, and limit values passed. Now, when we switch between pages in UI, Pega uses those offset and limit values to fetch only 10 records per page instead of loading the entire dataset. You can also verify these 10 records in the clipboard. This approach helps us overcome the performance limitations of Pega's out-of-the-box pagination, which loads the entire result set into memory before slicing it. By implementing custom pagination, we ensure efficient data fetching and more scalable application experience.